In this video, we will solve a tricky question on how to find the consumer surplus in case of non-linear demand function and a linear supply function. Okay, so a little disclaimer for this video is that the calculation is the mathematical calculations may be pretty correct, but the theoretical interpretations may be a little bit doubtful. Okay, I personally feel I will leave for your discretion what you will infer from the video when you watch it to the end. Okay, so that was a little disclaimer, and this question was obviously asked by a brother on Telegram channel of Econ. So let's continue to the question. Okay, so the demand and supply functions are being given us as we have the inverse demand function, that is p subscript d is equal to 6 minus x whole square. P denotes the price, x is the our quantity, and supply function is 14 plus x. Okay, find consumer surplus under pure competitive market. We have to find out the consumer surplus. Okay, obviously we have a non-linear demand function here and a linear supply function. So under a perfect competition, what are the equilibrium conditions? We know that our demand should be equal to supply. This is our demand function, this is our supply function. Okay, we equate a demand and supply. That means 6 minus x, 6 minus x whole square should be equal to supply is 14 plus x, 14 plus x. Okay, now 6 minus x whole square, it is something like this: a minus b whole square, and you write it, you have learned it a lot of times. Okay, so this is a square plus b square minus 2ab. In place of a we have 6, in place of b we have x, so this relation becomes 6 square plus x square minus 2. In place of a we have 6, in place of b we have x. Okay, so this becomes 6 6 are 36 plus x square minus 2 6 are 12x. Okay, so 6 minus x, let me write it here, 6 minus x whole square comes out to be this stuff. Okay, so let me write this in place of 6 minus x whole square. So we got here 36 plus x square minus 12x should be equal to, what is our supply, 14 plus x. Okay, so okay, let me also draw the graph here. Okay, so let's draw the graph. So we will have a graph something like this. So on this axis we have the quantity, on this axis we have the price. Okay, we have this quadratic demand function, and it is graph will not be a linear one. So let me draw the graph like this. Okay, so its graph will look like this. Okay, so so its graph is like this. This is our demand function. Okay, and this is our supply function. 14 is the intercept. Let me draw it like this. Okay, this is our supply function. Okay, now let us solve. So we know equilibrium occurs where demand will intersect supply, when demand will intersect supply. So here we can see we have, let us solve this out. So we have x square. Let me write this x square first, or let's write it 36 plus x square minus 12x. Transposing these terms, this is minus 14 minus x should be equal to 0, which gives us x square minus 12x minus x is minus 13x. Okay, um, 36 minus 14 comes out to be 22. So let me write it here, 22 should be equal to 0. So we have this quadratic equation. Okay, so let's solve this by splitting middle term. Okay, so our middle term is 13 minus 13x, so we should get sum of two numbers such that their addition should be equal to 13, and the product of the same two numbers should be equal to 22. Okay, so the simple stuff is here. I can write minus 11 minus 2, sorry, is it like this? Yes, 11 minus 2, yes, that's perfectly right. Minus 11 minus 2 is minus 13, and minus 11 into minus 2 is minus minus becomes plus. 11 2s are 22. So I can write it like this: x square, in place of minus 13x I will write minus 11x and minus 2x. Okay, you can see here minus 11x minus 2x will be equal to minus 13x. So in place of 22 I will write minus 11 and minus uh, you know mm, minus 11 and minus 2. Okay, minus into minus is plus. 11 2s are 22. Okay, so mutasa baya. Now we can factor out this easily. So factoring first two terms and the last two terms, here we can take x common, we are left with x minus 11. Let's take minus 2 common here, minus 2 common, we are left with x minus 11, and it should be equal to 0, which gives us x minus 11. If we factor this out again, so we are left with x minus 2. Okay, simple stuff, which gives us either x minus 11 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. If x minus 11 is equal to 0, which gives us x should be equal to 11. Okay, if x minus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to 2. Okay, so we got 2 pointers where demand function is intersecting the supply function. At x is equal to 2. Okay, at x is equal to 2, and at x is equal to 11. Okay, now having said this, what is the definition of the consumer surplus? We know consumer surplus is the difference between the price what the consumer is willing to pay and the price what he actually pays. Okay, so if I have another graph, a simple linear graph, linear demand and supply function. Okay, let us say this is our demand function, this is our supply function. Okay, this is supply function, this is demand function. Let us say equilibrium price was any number, let us say $10. Okay, so at $10, let us say we have a consumer who is willing to pay $14. Okay, then we can say the difference between what a consumer is willing to pay, this is the willingness, this is the actual price. Okay, actual price. So what is consumer surplus? The difference between the price what the consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays. The difference between those two gives us the consumer surplus. Okay, and here you can see, let us say a consumer is willing to pay $14 for a product, but at market he is the price is only 10. Here we can see there is a consumer surplus of, let us say, 14 minus 10, so we can say $4. Okay, so consumer is thinking, okay, I have saved $4, because he is imagining that, okay, I was able to rather I was willing to pay a price of 14, but I am only paying a price of, that's market price of 10. So I have a kind of, I have solved, sorry, I have saved $4. Okay, and here you can see the willingness to pay is higher than the actual price. Okay, so what is the consumer surplus? Simply the area which is above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. Okay, so this triangle will denote our consumer surplus. So we can have number of consumers at this point, at this point, okay, which are above the equilibrium price. But here we have a weird kind of demand function. So first let's calculate the equilibrium prices at both points, then I will continue this theoretical explanation. By the way, I am very you know I can say I'm not good at giving the theoretical explanation, but I will still try my best. So when x is equal to 11, okay, when x is equal to 11, what is the price? The price is, let's plug this x is equal to 11 in demand function, so price will be equal to 6 minus 11 whole square. This comes out to be minus 5 whole square, which comes out to be 25, because square of any negative number is always positive, so minus minus plus, so we got a number which is 25. So when x is 11, our equilibrium price is 25. Okay, now when x is equal to 2, what is the price? So when x is equal to 2, price will be equal to, just plug x is equal to 2 in demand function, so we have 6 minus 2 whole square, so this is 4 square. Oh, this is Shanna is 4 for the 16. Okay, so this is 16. I'm going to be, so price is 16. Okay, so we got two equilibrium points, this point and this point. Okay, so when x is equal to 2, our equilibrium price is 16. Okay, now I am saying that this point cannot be the equilibrium point, or rather I will say these 2 points may be the equilibrium points, but this is not the feasible point. Why? Let me draw it here first. I have told you consumer surplus. Okay, let's take again this linear demand and supply function. I have told you consumer surplus is the area which is above the equilibrium price. So if this is the equilibrium price and below the demand curve, okay, so this denotes our consumer surplus. But in this case, if I draw it here, okay, if I try to replicate here, so this is our demand function. Okay, and we have at price of 25. Okay, let us say this is 25. Okay, this is equilibrium price. Here you can easily see that this is the market price, and below this is our demand function. Okay, in this case the consumer surplus below this point, okay, going right to this point, this area, rather I will show you. So this area will give us the negative consumer surplus. Okay, negative consumer surplus. I have told you the consumer surplus is the area which is above the equilibrium price and below the demand function. Okay, only this part, this triangle looking shape is above the equilibrium price. Equilibrium price is 25, and this is above the equilibrium price. But below this point we can see equilibrium price is high and our demand function is below. Okay, and here how can you interpret it in simple words? So as I have told you, consumer surplus lies above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. But here our equilibrium price, after this point, our demand curve is below the equilibrium price. That means simply that willingness to pay is less than the price that is being actually paid. Okay, so our consumer surplus is negative in this area. Okay, up to this, so this area, up to this area our consumer surplus is negative. Okay, so this area will be of a negative consumer surplus. Okay, how can we interpret a negative consumer surplus? Let us say this is the marker. Okay, let us say its price is, market price is, let us say $10. Okay, and okay, I just want to okay, my willingness to pay, let us say willingness to pay is only $4. Okay, so I am, in my mind I'm making a decision that okay, I will buy this rather I will buy this market at a price of 4. Okay, but when I go to the market its price is 10, so I have to uh, you know pay $10, and there will be the negative consumer surplus. Okay, so I was only willing to pay $4, but I am being forced by the demand and supply to pay $10. Okay, so I my consumer surplus will fall, rather my consumer surplus will be negative. I have told you that consumer surplus is simply equal to willingness to pay minus the price actually being paid. Okay, so I am, a kind of making a negative consumer surplus. Okay, so I should not go into further detail. So if I have time and patience, I will explain it a little bit, okay, in the ending session of this video. That means this point cannot be our equilibrium point theoretically. Okay, then we are left with only this point when x is equal to 2. And what is the consumer surplus here? You can see up to this point uh, our this condition, that is the consumer surplus is above the equilibrium point, equilibrium price, and below the demand curve. So this up to this point it is being satisfied. That means consumer surplus is the area which is above the equilibrium price, which is 16, and below the demand curve, and this is, a kind of positive consumer surplus. Okay, so I guess this should be, our equilibrium price and quantity. Now how do we calculate consumer surplus? Various question करी मैं आज पर. Okay, so I will not go into further detail, but I will show you consumer surplus is simply equal to the definite integral from 0 to equilibrium quantity. So I have assumed that this 2 is our equilibrium quantity, so from 0 to 2, and the definite integral of our demand function. This is our demand function, and we have written it like this. Okay, so I will write it here, or let me write it here: 6 minus x whole square. Okay, minus total expenditure. Okay, what is prior total expenditure? So what is our total expenditure? Total expenditure is simply price into quantity. Q कहती है मैं x चाहिए p into x. So what is our equilibrium price, which I assumed, which is 16, into what is the quantity being transacted, that is 2. So this comes out to be 32. So our total expenditure is 32. So let's solve this out. So we have 0 to 2. So expand this. I have expanded it. This comes out to be 36 minus x square, sorry, plus x square minus 12x, and taking its definite interval with respect to x, and from this we subtract the total expenditure. What is our total expenditure? That is price uh, minus p into x. Okay, now solving this definite integral means taking the definite integral here. So let me write it here. I don't have the space, so let's write it here. So I can write it like this. Okay, I guess it will not come into the space. Let me write it here. So the definite integral of 36 is 36x the definite integral of x square is x cube upon 3 minus 12. The definite integral, sorry, the integral of x is x square upon 2. Okay, and we evaluate it from 0 to 2. From this we subtract the total expenditure, that is p into x, which we calculated, which is 32. Okay, so how did I get the here 36 x? We use simply the power function rule of integration. If we have x to the power n, it is integral simply we have x, we add exponent by 1 and we divide by the resulting exponent, that is n plus 1. Let us say we have x to the power 6. It is integral will be x 6 plus 1, 6 plus 1 upon 6 plus 1, which comes out to be x raised power 7 upon 7. Okay, I hope I am making myself clear. So simple thing I have done here. Basically I have explained this whole stuff in my rules of integration series. Okay, so you can just check that very series also. Now we have to evaluate these terms at, so let me write here, 2 ones are 2, 6 are 12. So first we will evaluate these terms at 2, then then we subtract and evaluate it at 0. Okay, if we evaluate it at 0, so its whole stuff will become 0. So we will evaluate it only at upper limit, that's 2. So I can write it like this: 36 into 2 in place of x, plus x cube is 2 cube upon 3 minus we have 6, x square means 2 square divided by only 2 square. Okay, so this 2 was cancelled, minus 32. This 32 total expenditure. Okay, so kshetra gaye 2 we have 2 to the 4 to the 8 upon 3 minus 2 to the 4 6 is 24 minus 32. Okay, so this comes out to be so we have 72 so 4 gay share 3 5. So this is 56 minus 56. Then I will add this last term 8 upon 3. So 2 वालों 2 वालों 56 बहाने शत 6 यू 96 5 to 1. So this comes out to be 16 plus 8 upon 3. Okay, we can write it like this: 3 into 16 plus 8. So shara shara gay 2 to shara gay 48 to 8 gay 56. So I got 56 upon 3. So this will be our okay, this will be our consumer surplus. And if you want to find this out in decimal pointers, we can also do that very calculation. So let me do it here. So we have 56. Okay, so 3 ones are 3. I tell you 5 and 3 z. So here we have 6. 3 8s are 24. Okay, so will it come here? No, let me write it here then. So we got here 5 and 3 z, we have 6. 3 8s are 24. So we are left with 4 z. Yet code point, yet go here 3 6 are 18. Okay, so we got 18.6. 18.6 is our, sorry, 18.6 is our consumer surplus. Okay, so I hope I make myself clear in this video. So let me repeat here: we were being given a non-linear demand function and a linear supply function. We were being told to find the consumer surplus. Okay, so simple thing: first, at equilibrium we know demand should be equal to supply. This is our demand function, this is our supply function. When we equate demand and supply, okay, we got this very quadratic function. By the way, this is our demand function. Okay, this is the quadratic one, so it will look like u-shaped in this case. Okay, and our supply function is 14 plus x. 14 is our intercept here, and we have x, this will look like this. And we were being told to find out the consumer surplus. Here we have found our two equilibrium points, that is when x is equal to 2 and when x is equal to 11, demand and supply functions are intersecting with each other. Okay, and to find the consumer surplus, I have told you the consumer surplus is simply the difference between the willingness to pay minus the price that is being actually paid. Okay, so we got 2 pointers, this x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 11. Up to this point 2, here the willingness to pay is higher than the actual price, but at this point x is equal to 11, if this was our equilibrium price, let us say 25, here the actual price is 25, but at this point you can see the willingness to pay is 0, and here it is also 25, but willingness to pay can be less than 25, it can be only 5. Okay, when our willingness to pay is less than the market price, okay, we say we have a negative consumer surplus. Okay. Because our consumer surplus, as I have solved number of videos, consumer surplus was always above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. Okay, so if this was demand, this was supply, this was equilibrium price, so this area was our consumer surplus, which was above the equilibrium price and below the demand curve. But only up to this, when x is equal to 2, this condition is being fulfilled. Beyond this, our equilibrium price, if I take this point as this price is our equilibrium price. Okay, so our willingness to pay is because obviously this demand curve till this, it is below the equilibrium price. Here our willingness to pay is less than the actual price, so this will give us negative consumer surplus. Okay, so this cannot be, at this point cannot be the equilibrium point. Okay, so remember, I have told you mathematically I may be perfectly correct, but the theoretical explanation I am little bit doubtful about about the explanation that I get. But I try myself very best to give more stuff for you. Okay, so I have not seen any kind of question which has taken this question into account, so I thought it was my responsibility to solve this kind of question. Whether the calculation was perfectly right, whether the theoretical explanation was right or wrong, I will leave this for you people. Okay, you can decide. I hope I make myself clear in this video. So I'm just making these videos for the sake of humanity. I don't even charge a single penny. Okay, a brother has asked me to solve this question, and okay, um I didn't ask him, okay, so pay me something, then I will. You can check. I have, at times I get 6 to 7 questions per day, and I have a busy schedule of my life, so I cannot take all the questions, and I only take those questions where I feel comfortable that I can impart my knowledge for you people. Okay, so I'm just doing for the sake of humanity. You don't need to pay a single penny. Okay, so this channel is free. That's why I'm trying to ask you people. Okay, please share this channel, subscribe this channel, so that I get some sort of motivation to make more videos. Okay, regarding the YouTube ads, YouTube has a right to monetize the videos, because he YouTube is giving me this me space. Okay, in terabytes. Okay, they are actually providing the platform for me to interact with you, and obviously YouTube has all the rights to monetize these kind of videos. Okay, so personally I don't feel I get lot of messages from the people, okay, please solve this kind of question on econometrics, or on the pure mathematics. At times I say, okay, I may, okay, I can solve the questions, but if I can't explain to you people, then obviously I cannot make videos on that. Okay, so I can do the videos on I can solve the questions on econometrics, on pure mathematics. Okay, solving a question is one thing, but imparting that very question, or explaining this question to the audience, is another thing. Okay, so I will only take those questions where I feel comfortable. Okay, I hope I make myself clear in this video. Thank you, have a nice day.